country, we have for many years now been victim to corruption. Corruption eats and erodes at the very essence and fiber of our communities and our societies. Through corruption, we have had instances where there are children in schools who are supposed to be fed, who would eat that one meal that government provides, that have gone hungry. Because of corruption in this country, there are people who have died on the benches of clinics and hospitals. Because of corruption in this country, criminals continue to run the streets, because when you go to a police station, our law enforcement system allows for corruption to wreak havoc throughout the system. There are missing dockets, there are people who are bribed, there are rapists who get away with rape, there are murderers who get away with murder. But that is enough, and we're here to say it is enough, we are done. This has continued because, first of all, we have a culture that has become inbred in our country, and it starts right at the top from the president, who was found with monies in his mattress, with cash in mattresses in his private residence. It goes right down to provincial legislation, it goes right down to ministers, MECs, right down to officials, even to the cop on the streets. It is a culture that is inbred, and it's one that we have to get rid of. And to get rid of it, we have to start right at the top, change the president, and put in a president who will be able to lead this country ethically and with the moral fiber that we deserve and we know we have as a country. Lastly, corruption has continued in this country because we allow for a no consequence type of culture. Over 1 billion rand was spent on state capture, the State Capture Commission in this country. More than 1,400 people were named in the state capture reports. They still sit in positions of government. They still sit in as high-profile members of the ANC, the ruling party. And so we're saying, as Bildwane say, it's time to get rid of the criminals. We're saying, as Bildwane say, there has to be consequence for criminality, and we are ready to bring in a president in Mmusi Maimane who is ethical, who has never stolen a cent from anybody. We are ready to bring in leaders at legislature, leaders and candidates and officials who have never stolen from anybody, who have never stolen from any community, who have never been involved and will never be involved in any corrupt activities, and will be held accountable should they ever do so.
South Africa is a country that can ill afford to lose any resources. We decided as Build One South Africa that in many ways we want to take this billboard here, in the center of Johannesburg, in the conflict upon which, when you look to your left, is opportunities missed, with buildings that could have been developed for the people of this country, with businesses that could have been thriving. As a child of Soweto, I used to come through to Johannesburg with my mother to come and shop. It was a hub of activity. Today, it has been lost. But not far from here are the headquarters of a criminal syndicate. That syndicate has set itself up and betrayed the legacy of people like President Nelson Mandela, and has set itself up as a criminal syndicate taking on the virtues of President Mandela and so many others. And yet, when he made a promise of a better life for all, they made it a promise of a better life for them. I can remember the day I asked President Zuma, Mr. Zuma, when are you bringing the State Capture Commission to bear? He kept ducking and diving, and I see now the Pensioners Club has become reunited as he comes to not right the wrongs of the past, but to continue from where he left off. I can see now that this country took over R1 billion of South Africa's taxpayers' money and invested it in Judge Zondo's commission. And still today, the same people who have held allegations are now standing up publicly and saying, I will swear allegiance to the Republic of South Africa, become a lawmaker in the Parliament of South Africa. And I dare ask this question: how do lawmakers, lawbreakers, become lawmakers? This election is a choice. It's a choice between a free and a prospering South Africa, or a criminal enterprise with its branches continuing the work of not only stealing money from the people of South Africa, as our deputy leader has already expressed, stealing resources, stealing healthcare, stealing policing, stealing the education of young people, and ultimately ensuring that a corrupted economy cannot deliver a job in every home. Only leadership that is ethical, that can lead, can deliver a job in every home, and that party is only Bosa.
Stretched up in our cultures, we would today be appearing before a magistrate, not standing for public office. If you and I were found with public pronouncements of corruption against the deputy president, we wouldn't be proudly standing before the people and racing back to parliament. You'd be facing some serious charges against you. If you were like Pedro Mantashe, having to explain who installed security in your house, and you can't explain that, you wouldn't be going to parliament. You would literally be facing criminal charges. And the list goes on. From Bonomvula, from Botutumien, Sfiso Buteles, Bowiningwen, Cedric Froley, Mmusi Maimane, Otabang Makwetla, David Mahlobo, Snuki Zigalala, Njani Chauke, Andris Nel, and Zizi Godwa have all been named in the Zondo Commission. Yet they are standing proudly saying, let us go represent South Africans in the Parliament of South Africa. Fellow South Africans, I want to say this, that if you were listed in Zondo, let your conscience tell you to step down from the list. But because the ANC is no longer got conscience, we now must call it the African National Criminal.